on the Senate floor, but you can kind of see through some of our headlines of the day here on day 38 of the ongoing federal government shutdown. Discussions likely to happen through the weekend amongst senators, a bill that would be on the table to pay federal workers who have been going without pay during the shutdown. There's, as you heard kind of here with a few of the senators who were speaking, discussion about how to ensure payment in the future. And this as flight reductions are underway as we speak due to the shutdown. Turning now to a new live feed we're seeing, looks like this is coming to us at the National War College within the National Defense University. This is Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth discussing changes in how the military Pentagon will procure weapons going forward.
Gave that speech on 9/11, and the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan began. As a result, Secretary Rumsfeld never quite had the full opportunity to implement many of his reforms. To quote him or paraphrase him again, "We went to war with the army we had, not the army he or we wanted." Today, the need for Pentagon transformation, not just reform, is even more urgent than it was when Secretary Rumsfeld spoke those words nearly a quarter century ago. And his words are just as true now as they were then. The threat environment we face is advanced and multifaceted. Technology is evolving at an accelerated pace. The information landscape has become increasingly segmented and personal, and exploited by our enemies. Many of our adversaries, as you know, don't wear uniforms and use civilians as human shields. Our enemies often activate under the threshold of armed conflict, the gray zone, and intend to destroy us from within. The world seems smaller and more familiar, yet at the same time, more complex. As I alluded to in my Quantico speech a few weeks ago, today we're undertaking a department-wide transformation of requirements, acquisition, and foreign military sales, addressing a core function of what we do at the War Department, identifying what our warfighters need, how we buy those capabilities, and then how we share those capabilities with our allies and partners, all in service of decisively winning any war that we must wage. For too long, our department has been hampered by a bureaucracy bogged down by burdensome and inefficient processes, paralyzed by impossible risk thresholds, and distracted by agendas that have nothing to do with warfighting. Naturally, such a system gives rise to a certain culture within the organization, and people adapt to that culture in order to thrive within it. The institution shapes the individuals as much as the individuals shape the institution. It becomes mutually reinforcing, and over time, the prevailing pattern becomes more and more entrenched, risk-averse, and immovable, to the point that the whole psychology of the department is stuck in a system in which process, not outcomes, matter the most. Previous administrations have tried and failed to address these issues, seeking to go around the process rather than confront it head-on, leaving our military and our industrial base weaker as a result. The department's perverse process has in turn fostered a culture in today's defense industrial base that makes it unlike any other American market, uniquely tailored to the Pentagon in the worst way. Unstable demand signals, uncertain projections, and volatile customer base has caused the defense industry to adopt the same entrenched, risk-averse, and lethargic culture that we have in government. The result, an absence of urgency, a fear of innovation, and a fundamental lack of trust between the military customer and our limited, more limited than it should be, defense industrial base. What's worse, the defense industry financially benefits from our backwards culture. Schedule overruns, huge order backlogs, and too predictable cost increases become the norm. Our military and our taxpayers need a defense industrial base that it can count on to scale with urgency in a crisis, not one that is content to wait for money before taking urgent action. This relates to the whole industrial base, and most importantly to the large primes that need a defense industrial base that it can count on to scale with urgency in a crisis, not one that is content to wait for money before taking urgent action. This relates to the whole industrial base, and most importantly to the large primes that we do business with today. These large defense primes need to change to focus on speed and volume and to invest their own capital to get there. If we do that, the Department of War is, of course, big-time supportive of profits. We are capitalists, after all. It's been the department's fault for far too long that we're in this predicament. And it will take a focused and sustained effort to succeed, and succeed we must. We will no longer ignore the plank in our own eye. The goal of this speech is not to name and shame people or companies or departments. Many of you have done important and patriotic work for our nation and this department for years. Many for decades. But rather, I wanted the opportunity to look you, my fellow patriots, straight in the eye and tell you how important you are. You will determine whether we deliver for our warfighters. You will determine whether we win our next war. Either you, our companies, our industries, our defense industrial base deliver, or we fail. It is literally life or death. Every dollar squandered on redundancy, bureaucracy, and waste is a dollar that could be used to outfit and supply the warfighter. We must wage an all-out campaign to streamline the Pentagon's process, to unshackle our people from unproductive work, and to shift our resources from the bureaucracy to the battlefield. Our objective is simple: transform the entire acquisition system to operate on a wartime footing, to rapidly accelerate the fielding of capabilities and focus on results. Our objective is to rebuild the arsenal of freedom. American industry and its innovative spirit are begging to be unleashed to solve our most complex and dangerous warfighting problems. We need to get out of our own way, out of your way, and enter into real partnership with you, rather than overprescribe and decelerate your natural progress. In turn, industry needs to perceive business with the Department of War from the perspective of growth and assume risk to partner with the United States. Speed and a focus on outcomes are fundamental to successful deterrence. Our warfighters require the depth of capabilities to deter any aggression and, if necessary, decisively defeat any enemy that dares to challenge America. We are talking here about transformation, not toothless reform, and we're seeking it fast. Now, some will say that any effort to reform the Pentagon bureaucracy is punishment for real or perceived slights. We think that's nonsense. I'm not here to punish, we're here to liberate. I'm not here to reform, but to transform and empower. We mean to save the bureaucracy from itself. Because the chairman and I talk about this all the time. This is a 1939 moment. Or hopefully a 1981 moment. A moment of mounting urgency. Enemies gather, threats grow, you feel it, I feel it. If we are going to prevent and avoid war, which is what we all want, we must prepare now. Our adversaries are not sitting idly by, they're moving fast. They're developing and delivering new capabilities at a rate that should be sobering to every American, especially those who work in the Pentagon and in the defense industrial base. Their ambitions and intentions are bold. Their actions speak volumes, and frankly, at times we've been too damn slow to respond. But before we get too far along, when it comes to transformation, let me give some credit where credit is due. President Trump has led on this, issued 4 executive orders directing transformation of defense acquisition, spurring innovation of the defense industrial base in particular, and the entire federal procurement process and foreign military sales in general. That's because the president recognizes one simple fact: America's military is the greatest in the world by far, and we must keep it that way. Our Commander-in-Chief is leading the way, affording us, this is what is so key in any effort like this, affording us the top cover to do big, hard, and necessary things quickly. Members of the House and Senate Armed Services Committee, on a bipartisan basis, have advanced proposals to reform Pentagon procurement through the SPEED Act and the Forged Act. Through their close collaboration and extensive exchanges with Congress, much of what we are planning and announcing directly reflects the insight and reform ideas that have emerged from those ongoing partnerships. Many of the changes we're implementing today are the direct result of those congressional engagements, and we look forward to continuing this vital collaboration as we transform the department. So I want to thank Chairman Wicker and Chairman Rogers, especially for their leadership on these issues. Together, these...
All right, folks, pivoting away from this announcement from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, discussing some changes in how U.S. military will procure weapons going forward. We're going to take a quick break, folks. On the other side, we may rejoin with this live feed if it is still with us on the other side of the break. Otherwise, we've got some other feeds we're watching. We've got some updates to share, government shutdown related, travel related, and some local headlines too. We'll see you in 2 minutes, folks.